Now, this is going to save you tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, when you are purchasing a investment property or a family home. Okay, majority of Australians miss out on this task, and they do not like to go ahead with conducting a pest and building report because they're worried about saving money, but they're not looking long term. Now, when you're investing, you always look long term. You never look short term. Unfortunately, people don't look at that. They just look at the now and then. Okay, so this is something that's really important. I want to bring to your attentions because people do not understand how to read a pest and building report and what they got to look out for. Now, they're very overwhelming. They can be. There's a lot of information in there, and there's, they've got to follow a code of conduct. And so what you got to do is you write out a list of items when you conduct or when you read a pest and building report. And when you read those items out and you see what grabs your attention, or there's some alerts there on that report, write them down. Then what you want to do is you want to go back to your pest and building specialist and you want to ask him about these items and ask him about, are these urgent, or these are something that you can bring to your attention later on, because it's not something that's really important at this point in time. They do write things on there, just because they got to follow their code of conduct. Okay, and so sometimes there's a lot of items, but don't get overwhelmed. Okay, this is part of the process. You'd rather be them doing their due diligence, okay, and giving you an overload of information than just having a couple little things there, and then later on you didn't know that there was all these other items that should have been brought to your attention. Now, sometimes it's best to make sure you do your due diligence on the pest and building specialist company, or if they're an individual, and see the reviews, get some feedback from other people. If there's some people that have used them in the past and they've got some really good feedback, that's something you want to take in consideration, because they're looking at your property and they're going to give you the green light to go ahead with this property, or to say, no, don't go ahead with this property. We have backed out on a couple properties, only 2 since we've been doing this, okay, out of, hundreds of properties were purchased. So that's something, we are very, very reliant on our pest and building specialist. Now, let's say there's a list of items and you have to, bring these to the attention of the vendor. Okay, you go through the solicitors and you do it through legal terms, but there's 3 things that can happen. You give back the items you give the list of items to the vendor. What they're going to do, the vendor fixes the items themselves. So they pay for certain items and they agree to say, yes, we're going to fix 50% of them, maybe all of them, whatever it may be. Okay. 2, they're going to reduce the price, and they say, you know what, we'll give you 10 grand off the price. You can go back and do the repairs yourself. Beautiful. Okay. And then the 3rd one is, I guess, they don't want to come to the party. They don't want to reduce the price. They don't want to fix anything. And so it's up to you to say, you know what, am I still going to go ahead with this property? And it's something, if you look long term, if the property and you've done your analysis and this location is going to develop, produce amazing capital growth, give you the cash flow that you need as well, then it might be a great idea to, let's move on with the property. Okay. But if you're not uncertain and you're not sure, that's something where you got to make sure you can make an informed decision. Okay. So there's a few things there that, keep in mind. Okay. That's why you have a team of people. A solicitor is someone that can, give you the rebound. The pest and building specialist, that's someone that as well that can point you in the right direction. And not just that, your property manager that you're going to be working with, if you're an investor, they can give you great feedback as well. Now, there's always a possibility you always want to get some quotes during that time. So if you get a pest and building clause in your contract and you got 28 days or 21 days to subject to pest and building, what you want to do is, if you've got enough time, get some quotes. Get some quotes and have some evidence and pass it on to the vendor as well. And say, you know what, maybe the gutters are stuffed. Here's a quote, $2,000, $3,000 to get the gutters changed. Here's a quote on the carpet. So I'm going to run off a list of things that I've created for you to have a look at. And so you can, write these things down, and bring to your attention when you're looking at a property. Very important, because people forget about these things. Okay, so give me one sec. So here we are. These are the list of items that you need to bring to your attention, and actually, when you're reading a report, look at these items, look at these in their column or in their format, depending how that's been presented to you. Okay, and write these things down and have a checklist. Okay, first thing, termites. Sometimes you're going to get a pest and building report, and there's 99% of the time, there's going to be something about termites. Okay, and they're always going to say, you know what, you're going to have to get a termite barrier installed into the property. There might not be any termites. So that's a precaution for you to do. Now, if you've got a house with the foundations are concrete, and it's a house, it's a brick home, you know, your house, majority of the time, 90% of the time, you could say, you know, is going to be safe from termites, because termites love wood, okay? But they always recommend to get a termite treatment, and it's something to, you know, be, you know, diligent with, and get the termite treatment. Now, it may cost, depending in different regions, $1,500 to $3,000 to get the treatment done. They can last up to 8 years, okay? Very important. It's good for, you know, even if it's a brick home, it's probably something you want to get done. If it's a wooden home, maybe it's on if it's on if it's on concrete foundations and it's a wooden home, you know, there's still going to be a likelihood there, you know, termites can still attack the home. And if it's on stumps, okay, there's more of a higher chance or possibility, but it's always recommended to get a termite treatment. Now, if the house has any signs of termites, you know, rotting out the house, the external or the foundations of the property, this is something where you got to see what the damage is and what, you know, what level of risk it's going to put you at. Okay, so things like that can cost you tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's something you speak to your pest and building specialist. Okay, now they might advise you maybe get a quote, maybe get an independent, you know, termite inspector to go out there, conduct an actual quote, and see what the damage is. Okay, then you can negotiate with your vendor, but keep this in mind. Okay, it's very important. Sometimes there will be termite treatment or termite attack on the fences, on the external of the house, the fences, you know. Okay, so people get a bit scared and go, oh my God, if there's going to attack the fence, what are they going to do to the house? Now, this is something where you got to bring your logic to it and not emotion. And of course, your pest and building specialist should guide you in the right direction. But if the house is, you know, concrete foundations and it's brick, you should be fine. That's why I like brick homes. I don't disregard timber homes. There's some great value for timber homes as well. I have a timber home, but as well, there's pros and cons with anything, okay? But that's something to keep in mind. Now, the likelihood of this happening and rotting out your house are quite low. So just keep that in mind. Next thing, smoke alarms. In certain regions, okay, smoke alarms got to be compliant in different state and territories. Okay, so we need to have a certain amount of smoke alarms in a amount of bedrooms. So in Queensland, for example, 4-bedroom home needs 4 smoke alarms. Okay, 1 in each room, and it probably needs 1 as well in the main living area. So that's going to be 5. That can cost $1,000 to get something like that installed in your home. So by law, when the vendor is selling your house to a new owner, now for say it's a landlord, by law they have to be compliant. So it's on them to make sure they do these and install the new smoke alarms. Keep that in mind, okay? Because it can cost a lot of money these days. Next thing, appliances in working order. People forget about these things. So what you want to do is make sure that they inspect and turn on the AC, the heating, the ovens, and all the other appliances that are in the house. Hot water service, make sure it's working. Okay, and this is something where as well, if you've got a property manager, before you settle on the property, they go in there, do a pre-inspection and check these things. Okay, and by doing that, you'll be surprised. It happens all the time. We had it the other day. Frank, guess what? Aircon's not working in the 3rd bedroom. Okay, beautiful. Go back to the solicitor. Let's talk to the vendor. Let's see what's going on. You know what? They're installing a new AC. Okay, so it can get missed sometimes by the pest and building inspector too. Okay, so that's something on you to make sure you do the right checks. Next thing, roof report condition. Make sure the roof is in working order. Nothing's wrong with the roof. Rust, signs of rust or rusty bolts. Signs of hail damage, okay? If there is hail damage, if more than 25% of the roof is being affected by hailstorms, the roof is terminated. You're gonna have to get it repaired right away. Make sure they can go through insurance and pay for that themselves through the vendor. It has happened with clients and we've got it fixed. A whole new roof is being replaced during the settlement period, okay? But if they don't want to fix the roof, that is something you got to really, really think about, and actually probably not settle on the property, because it's going to cost you not, a few $1,000s. It's going to cost you tens of thousands of dollars to install a new roof. So make sure on that. Gutters, very important. If gutters are full of leaves and all blockage, of all, moss and all the rest of it, signs are that the majority of the time you're going to have to change those gutters. Tens of thousands of dollars. It can be tens of thousands of dollars as well there. But make sure, if the gutters look good, make sure you ask the vendor to clean the gutters if they're full of rubbish, okay? People sometimes don't think about things like this. Very important, okay? So keep that in mind as well. Now, if you've got a property, and it's got trees, this is a little tip, it's got trees on the property and it's next to the house, you probably want to install or get the gutters clean and then install a mesh over the roof lining and the gutters so there's going to be no more, leaves and all the rest of it, bark inside the gutters. Little hot tip. Internal roof, inside the house. Signs that the plaster is okay and there's no water damage, okay? This can happen if there's something wrong with the roof, or maybe there's something in the internal wall with one of the pipes, okay, and there's signs of water damage. Now, the inspector should put this up on his pest and building report. But sometimes as well, you want to get your property manager to go in there before settlement as well and check the walls and see what's going on, okay? Now, you can do this before the pest and building clause expires if you got time, and make sure they do the right checks. Very important, because that can cost you a lot of money too. Next thing, moisture levels. Moisture levels, okay? You go get your pest and building inspector to go into the bathroom and kitchen and see the moisture reading. If it has a high level of moisture, maybe there's a leak in the shower, or the bathroom or in the kitchen, okay? That is something that can cost you tens of thousands of dollars, where you're going to have to revamp the whole bathroom or the kitchen, okay? There's some sign of water leaks or something's going on. Maybe, a lot of the old houses, okay, back in the 80s or 70s and 60s, some of them didn't have waterproofing done. So majority of those bathrooms are going to have to get renovated right away because of this, and that's something to keep in mind as well. And it's something you can negotiate, of course. If there is moisture levels, and the bathroom can maybe go for another 3 to 5 years, and you can say, I'm saving, or I'm going to do a renovation on the bathroom in 3 to 5 years, and numbers stack up. The rental income's going to give you $5,000 or $10,000 a year. What you do, you save that aside, and then you're going to put that towards the bathroom. It's a great way to think about it. You don't look long term, don't look short term and say, no, needs a bathroom. It can be great value to the house as well, and it can give you extra income and extra capital growth when you do those renovations. Next thing, foundation report. Now, check the flooring, sinking floors, sloping, and you may not be there. You may not be inspecting the property because it may be interstate, okay? Again, pest and building inspector should pick this up. Your property manager should pick this up. And these are a list of items you should bring to their attention when you get your property manager in there as well, before the pest and building clause has expired once again. Okay, get them to see what's going on. Check the carpet. Is the carpet okay? Is it not moving? If it needs to be replaced, bring that to your attention. Make sure you can negotiate on price as well, or get them to repair the floors. Lights, switches, things like this not working, or dangling, light globes or power points or whatever it may be, or light extensions, things like that, that need to be replaced or, repaired. These are things you got to bring to your attention, because if globes aren't working, if switches have been caved in or something like that, and they're not, or the power points have been destroyed or something's happened or damaged, okay, even though it's not an expensive item, it's going to cost you to get a electrician out there to repair these items. So that's something. It may cost, a globe may cost, $5, $10 for a globe. But if you can't attend to the property and you've got to get an electrician to go out there, it's probably going to cost you $200 to just change one light globe. Okay. Unfortunately, you got to pay for their time and their labor. That's completely understandable. That's business. But you make sure you check these things before you settle on a property. Very important. Now, of course, I've talked about foundations as well. Sorry, carpet and flooring. I've already kind of touched on the foundations, but what I want to touch on the foundations is cracks in the wall. Cracks in the walls, or maybe doors not closing properly. Something that the pest and building inspector should bring to their attention, and something that you bring to your property manager's attention. Okay, so if there's cracks in the wall, the doors aren't closing properly, there's signs of movement in the house. Okay, that's not good. And when you start to see foundation, there's problems there. Maybe there might be water under the house, and that's where your pest and building inspector will go underneath the house and see there's a high level of moisture reading. And if there is, That's something there as well. You got to see what the go is and how you fix that problem. If you can negotiate it, of course, on price. If it's something that's really, really significant and it's going to have, problems with the property structurally, that's something as well you're going to have to consider and say, do I back out or not? Speak to professionals. Don't make a decision if you're not 100%, okay, and you haven't spoken to professionals. Speak to builders, speak to plumbers or carpenters, speak to people in these areas that can help you. Okay, unfortunately, people may listen to their families or friends and they'll say, no, back out of the deal. But you might have a good property. Okay, so I just want to bring this to your attention. Always speak to a professional. Someone that can give you great advice. Because myself, I'm a buyer's agent. But when it comes to items like this, I always call the professionals in. And I ask them their advice. Okay, and they give me the honest opinion. And there has been times, like I said, we have backed out. And so by doing that, it's going to save you tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Same with these items. You could bring your attention to the vendor and say, listen, there's a list of here. I want $10,000, $15,000 off the price. And you negotiate. Or maybe they're going to fix the items. And so it's going to save you money. So hopefully you got a lot of value from this. Use this checklist. Get your property manager to go through these items. Make sure you tell or speak to the person building specialist. Now you don't want to tell them how to do their job, but just say you got some concerns. I'm worried about these items. Can you please look at these items or bring these to my attention? Which they will. They all do. They do. If they're a great pest and building inspector, they'll do the right thing. So thank you. If you like this video, like, subscribe, please share it with other people. This is really important. People miss out on these things here. Okay. And it costs them tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars.